welcome to Tales of Honor Podcast, a podcast dedicated to telling the true stories of every recipient of the Medal of Honor. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tales of Honor Podcast. I'm your host, Christoph Ambrose, and today's episode is episode number 211. And if this is your first time hearing this podcast, welcome on board, and please be sure to subscribe wherever it is you are listening. This way you get new episodes automatically every time they come out, every Wednesday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And now, a tale of honor. Ronald was born on the 7th of December, 1978, in Fairbanks, Alaska. Most of his childhood was spent in Tacoma, Washington, where his father was stationed at McChord Air Force Base. Both of his parents were in the U.S. Air Force, and he went on to graduate from Rogers High School in Puyallup, Washington, in 1997. Ronald then went to and graduated from Washington State University in 2001 with a bachelor's degree in business administration. He was initially accepted into officer candidate school shortly after, but was denied due to pancreatitis caused by a previous bicycle accident. Ronald then began a master's degree program at Washington State, and after a year, enlisted in the U.S. Army from Spokane in September of 2002. Ronald first trained as a medic and was then accepted and completed Special Forces training and their medic training. By the 1st of December 2006, he was a staff sergeant with the 3rd Special Forces Group and deployed to Afghanistan twice, but it was his actions with a combined Joint Special Operations Task Force that would earn him the Silver Star. The upgraded citation reads, "For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty, Staff Sergeant Ronald J Shurer II distinguished himself by acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty on April 6, 2008, while serving as a Senior Medical Sergeant, Special Forces Operational Detachment Alpha 3336, Special Operations Task Force 33, in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. Staff Sergeant Shurer was part of an assault element inserted by helicopter into a location in Afghanistan. As the assault element moved up a near vertical mountain toward its objective, it was engaged by fierce enemy machine gun, sniper, and rocket-propelled grenade fire. The lead portion of the assault element, which included the ground commander, sustained several casualties and became pinned down on the mountainside. Staff Sergeant Shurer and the rest of the trailing portion of the assault element were likewise engaged by enemy machine gun, sniper, and rocket-propelled grenade fire. As the attack intensified, Staff Sergeant Shurer braved enemy fire to move to an injured soldier and treat his wounds. Having stabilized the injured soldier, Staff Sergeant Shurer then learned of the casualties among the lead element. Staff Sergeant Shurer fought his way up the mountainside under intense enemy fire to the lead element's location. Upon reaching the lead element, he treated and stabilized 2 more soldiers. Finishing those life-saving efforts, Staff Sergeant Shurer noticed 2 additional severely wounded soldiers under intense enemy fire. The bullet that had wounded one of the soldiers had also impacted Staff Sergeant Shurer's helmet. With complete disregard for his own life, Staff Sergeant Shurer again moved through enemy fire to treat and stabilize one soldier's severely wounded arm. Shortly thereafter, Staff Sergeant Shurer continued to brave withering enemy fire to get to the other soldier's location in order to treat his lower leg, which had been almost completely severed by a high-caliber sniper round. After treating the soldier, Staff Sergeant Shurer began to evacuate the wounded, carrying and lowering them down the sheer mountainside. While moving down the mountainside, Staff Sergeant Shurer used his own body to shield the wounded from enemy fire and debris caused by danger-close airstrikes. Reaching the base of the mountain, Staff Sergeant Shurer set up a casualty collection point and continued to treat the wounded. With the arrival of the medical evacuation helicopter, Staff Sergeant Shurer, again under enemy fire, helped load the wounded into the helicopter. Having ensured the safety of the wounded, Staff Sergeant Shurer then regained control of his commando squad and rejoined the fight. He continued to lead his troops and emplace security elements until it was time to move to the evacuation landing zone for the helicopter. Staff Sergeant Shurer's actions are in keeping with the finest traditions of military service and reflect great credit upon himself, Combined Joint Special Operations Task Force Afghanistan, Special Operations Command Central, and the United States Army. About 1 year after returning home, Ronald was honorably discharged from the Army, and he became a special agent for the Phoenix, Arizona office of the U.S. Secret Service. He then was selected for the agency's counter-assault team and was assigned to its Special Operations Division out of Washington, D.C. The Pentagon began a review in 2016 of all Valor Medals awarded since the terror attacks of 9/11, and on the 1st of October, 2018, Ronald's Silver Star was upgraded to the Medal of Honor, and he received it from President Trump in a ceremony at the White House. Ronald J Shurer II currently resides in Burke, Virginia, with his wife and 2 sons. And that was a Tale of Honor. Thank you so much for listening to Tales of Honor Podcast. Please head on over to talesofhonorpodcast.com for more information, other ways to listen and support the podcast, and please be sure to leave a good rating and a nice review. There's actually going to be a new Medal of Honor recipient on the 25th of June, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to squeeze it out the next day for the 26th, so stay tuned for that. And if you have any questions or comments, you can send them on over to talesofhonorpodcast@gmail.com. And until next time, I'm Christoph Ambrose. Thanks for listening.